trade Rashod Bateman is now the number one most popular thing I see on Ravens Twitter and in my comment section as well. So let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to TTP Ravens Media, bringing Ravens content every single day. If you want to see the daily Ravens content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And like I said in the intro, this video is about Rashod Bateman and whether or not the Baltimore Ravens should consider trading him. And I've seen a lot of people go as far to say, like, is Bateman still a Raven this time next week? Because a lot of people are expecting the Ravens to try and move on from the, 3-year NFL veteran drafted in the first round of 2021. But I gotta say, I don't think it makes much sense to trade Bateman. Now let's talk about both sides. Now first off, I'll talk about the side of why the Ravens would trade Bateman. The only explanation is you get a great offer, an offer that you just cannot refuse. Obviously, you would accept that. Or you're trading him in an effort that gets you another wide receiver. You're trading him and you're getting, I know I talked about these guys yesterday, but I'll bring up some more names. But you're trading him and you're getting Sutton. You're trading him and in that trade, you're getting T. Higgins. Or you're getting Ayuk in that trade. I think that situation makes at least some sense. But I see some people saying, like, let's just trade Bateman for a fourth or a fifth. And why is my question for that? Because when I look at Rashod Bateman, I think he's a really solid wide receiver. I think he's a good wide receiver too in the NFL. One of the issues with Rashod Bateman, though, is he does not have the production. And part of that reasoning is because he's not given the opportunity. Like, he got open really well in the playoffs last year, just was not getting targets. Now, maybe that's, part of the Ravens offense. Maybe that's by design. Maybe that's Lamar Jackson not trusting him. Maybe it's Rashod Bateman not communicating well enough with Lamar about, like, hey, dude, like, I'm getting open, right? Like, we see Lamar and Zay Flowers have that connection, right? I think if you look back to the Bengals game, the first Bengal games last year, Zay Flowers ran a deep post and he got open, and he went back to the huddle and he said, Lamar, and he was like, hey, dude, like, we ever get that look again, hit me on that post. He's like, I promise you, like, I'm open on that. Later in the game, same formation, they call it. Zay Flowers runs the post and Lamar goes, I see you this time. Throws it up. Throws probably the best throw I've ever seen Lamar Jackson make. Hits Zay Flowers in stride. Great play. We see the same thing with Isaiah Likely. Hey, throw it up, right? In the playoff game against the Texans. Lamar Jackson, the next time he sees it, throws it up. Isaiah Likely takes it off the man's head, catches it for a touchdown. We're yet to really see that sort of communication with Lamar and Bateman, and maybe that's something that could help them. But I've always said this, Rashod Bateman is very good when he practices consistently. He's had an issue of injuries. He's had an issue of staying on the field. But when he practices for the full week, he typically has pretty solid games. When he has the games where he's dropping passes, he's usually coming off of injury. He missed 3 or 4 practices that week. He was questionable going into the week, and he doesn't have a good game. But when he's getting consistent reps, he seems to be like a competent starting wide receiver in the NFL. And when you look at what I think he can be, and I'm not saying Rashod Bateman next year is going to be a 1,000-yard receiver. I don't think that. I think Rashod Bateman in this Ravens offense, if he's the number 2 option, I think expecting in a full healthy season, expecting 600 on the low end to 700, maybe 800 would be like a really good year for him as a wide receiver too. I think that could be the expectation with 5 touchdowns, probably be the average. But I think that would be the expectation for him. And when you have a young player like that, if you put up 700 yards in a year and 5 touchdowns, what I think is very doable for him, if he's healthy again and he's used properly, I think that's a player that is deserving of much more than what the Ravens would even get if they do end up trading. Now, we have to remember, I believe the deadline is May 5th. I know it's the first week of May is the fifth-year option deadline. I don't think the Ravens are going to pick up Bateman's fifth-year option. But it's definitely still something where if he performs, you may still want to re-sign him or franchise tag him and try and trade him then. But I think the best thing for Rashod Bateman is a prove-it year with the Baltimore Ravens. And, you know, again, like I said at the beginning, yes, you trade Rashod Bateman if you get an offer that just blows you away. But if I had to guess, obviously I'm not an NFL GM, I'm not Eric DeCosta, I'm not Lacey DeCosta, I don't have any of the inside intel, I'm not Marlon Humphrey or whatever. But, I mean, I think the market value of Rashod Bateman is certainly not a day 1 or day 2 pick. It's probably a day 3 pick, and maybe not even a round 4 pick. So when you think about it in that sense, like, why should the Ravens trade Rashod Bateman for a 5th rounder, even a 4th rounder? Like, you're losing your number 2 wide receiver. Now, again, if you're trading him in a trade with, you know, the 49ers for Ayuk, like, yeah, sure, that's great. But then you have to factor in, like, you're not trading him straight up for any of these players, right? Like, if you're trading for, let's say, Cortland Sutton, and you're offering Bateman, and the Broncos reportedly want a round 1 or round 2 pick, let's say their value is they want a round 2 pick for him, you'd probably be trading Bateman in your 3rd for Cortland Sutton. Is that worth it? Right? Like, are you trading Bateman in your 2nd round pick for T. Higgins? When, again, you still have to pay him. I think rather than just packaging Bateman in the trade, throw in the 4th. Like if you're good, like, again, I'm not pro trade for these guys, but I would rather just package a 4th with the picks than package Bateman. Because even if we trade for T. Higgins or Cortland Sutton or any of these guys, Bateman will be your 3. And that'd be really good to have Rashod Bateman as your 3. So it doesn't make sense really in any situation to package Rashod Bateman unless a team specifically is like, but we want Bateman in this deal. And I don't think any team, with how Bateman's performed so far in his career, I don't think any team is demanding Rashod Bateman in trades, because, again, I think his value is a day 3 pick. And why would you, you know, be like really insistent on getting a day 3 pick when, you know, you're getting maybe a round 3 or round 2 pick in these deals? I'll give an example. Would I rather trade a 3rd round pick and Rashod Bateman, or just a 2nd round pick for Ayuk or T. Higgins or any of those guys? I think I'd rather just trade the 2nd round pick and keep Bateman, because the later pick that you're giving up, you're not getting a wide receiver with that pick, right? Like you're just giving up your wide receiver, now 3, in order to get somebody to replace him as your wide receiver 2, but I'd rather just keep him. So, I don't know, that's my thought. Like, I don't really think the Ravens have any motivation or any need to trade Rashod Bateman. I know he's not a huge fan favorite right now, but I'm still a believer in Rashod Bateman. I think he was used improperly, definitely under Greg Roman. And last year, he played well. He just wasn't getting targets. Obviously, he's had some rough games. He's had some rough drops. But like I brought up, when he's healthy and he's practicing consistently, this dude is a significantly better wide receiver than Nelson Aguilar. Like, that's the comparison, right? Like, Nelson Aguilar, I think people are okay with him being our wide receiver 3. Bateman is much better than him. He gets open more consistently. He makes more big plays. He makes the same amount of money. They both drop the ball at probably about the same rate. So I think it's weird to me. It's weird to me the motivation to trade Rashod Bateman, unless he's, you know, kind of like the situation with Marquise Brown. Like, if Bateman requested a trade and nobody knows about it, sure, trade him. Like, then I don't care. But I don't think Bateman's requested a trade. Let me know in the comment section down below your guys' thoughts. Are you pro Bateman? Are you anti Bateman? I'm pro Bateman. Thank you all so much for watching. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you again tomorrow.